Welcome back to Mission Single. I'm Kelly. For single women, taking charge of your finances is not just an option, it's a necessity. And for some women, navigating divorce, the complexities can leave you vulnerable. As owner of Bedrock Asset Management, Linda Stubblefield loves answering the questions that often hold women back. So get ready to feel empowered in your financial understanding and inspired to live with an open-handed faith. Linda, thank you for having this conversation with me today.
Oh, I'm excited to do this. It's very, very much my pleasure.
What motivated you to choose financial planning over 30 years ago when fewer women were in that field?
I had no idea there were so few women in this career.
Wow.
I grew up in high school, my dad driving me to school and had the news on. And so he discussed with me as if I were an adult and had my own views, very respectful. And so we talked about news, we talked about economics, we talked about stock investing. And he was an avid investor. So I just loved this whole mystery of choosing companies that had potential to grow, and therefore you become a part owner in that. That was fascinating to me. I actually went to school on a journalism scholarship, but when it was time to actually choose a career, I couldn't help myself. I really wanted to go into this.
What is one money myth or a misconception that you wish you could permanently delete from women's minds?
I find that women are afraid to say, I don't understand that. Tell me more about that. And it's perfectly okay. Men do that. Men do that without feeling embarrassed or, like this, that's going to reflect on them badly. So I would love to see women just be themselves, be at ease, and put themselves in a position to learn and be equal.
Why do you think that women are less likely to do that than men?
Well, I think the whole environment, for instance, at work, men are more likely to talk about money, to talk about their investments. And women are more likely to talk about their families or vacations. I mean, we have a natural inclination towards certain things, and that's an okay thing. There's not anything wrong with that. But because we don't get exposed to these conversations, we're not that encouraged. I wasn't in school. I wasn't encouraged to pursue math and business courses. I was encouraged to pursue music and journalism and art. I find that single women are more willing to ask questions.
Okay.
And that is very exciting to me. I find that they're willing to raise their hand and say, I need help in that. I need somebody to help me. So that is such an encouraging trend.
We have to, right? We have to understand that because we're the ones doing it.
You're the only one that, if you don't care, nobody cares, And so there are some women that will kind of glaze over and not take care of themselves. Maybe it's with their health. Maybe it's with their finances. When they're willing to step up and say, hey, nobody else is going to take care of me. I'm going to do this. Then they're willing to learn and ask the questions. And I find that wonderful. That's one of the reasons I love working with single women and have often reached out in that area.
Oftentimes women are risk averse, right? Rather than risk takers.
I see that in investing, and many women actually get to their retirement with not enough money because they have not been willing to take enough risk in their investments. And so I do talk to women consistently about that they need to realize that risk is a part of growth. And even if the market goes down, it is a temporary situation. We cannot afford to be risk adverse. Many times we're risk adverse in our jobs too. We only take jobs that have a guaranteed salary. So we miss out on the bigger bonuses. We may be not wanting to have much pressure put on us. So that's a risk. The higher you go in a company, the more likely you are to be booted out for some reason. I mean, the stakes get higher. And so many women won't ever aspire for those positions because of that.
So that's interesting when you think about the spiritual side of that. And, we're taught in the Bible to store up our treasures in heaven and not on earth.
Yeah.
And that requires some trust in the Lord and some risk, right? So, how do you balance biblical principles of trusting God's provision with the wise financial planning, which you want to train women to do, and building wealth? And yet, we're supposed to give it all away for the kingdom, on the other hand, right?
Yes, I love that. In Proverbs 31, it talks about the righteous woman, the woman who really exemplifies a woman who trusts the Lord. And what is she doing? She's trading. This is not a guaranteed income.
So when you said that, it just made me think of Lydia was a seller of purple. That's sales. That's not stable.
It's not. It is. I have a skill. I'm going to put it to use. I'm going to let people know about it, and I'm also going to look for more markets. So there she is in a sales position. She's building her business. I love the story of Joanna. She took tremendous risks and gave away so much of her wealth in order to support the Jesus and the disciples. The goal is to be in the space that God has put you in with confidence, generosity, and love. I mean, those are the characteristics that we need to bring to the table. And whatever we're doing that with the confidence that the outcome will be the right thing. It'll be the right thing for God.
So you mentioned generosity being a part of life and how we handle our finances. So what role does that play in your financial planning practice, and how do you guide clients to be generous?
Well, I talk about their values. I think in the financial planning process, you really, really get to know someone, what's valuable to them, what is important for them to leave behind, what they want to fund. So that conversation, and sometimes it falls on, kind of a flat landing because people are not attuned to sharing their wealth. And that is really sad to me. I find that the more joyful a person is, it almost always follows that they are the ones who are generous or givers. In fact, I heard a radio program about this recently. Someone was saying, I went to the Lord and said, why do I have no joy? I'm doing all these things for you, but I don't have joy. And the two things that he received from God in that answer was give more and tell more people about Jesus. That will bring you joy.
Right. It doesn't have to be financial gain. It can be the joy of knowing that you've helped someone else.
Yeah.
And especially if you've given them the keys to eternal life by sharing the gospel with them, right?
Absolutely. And the wonderful thing is that giving begins to open up our hearts to trusting God. It is when we're closed, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough to share, that we have kind of a hardness because we think we're able to do it all ourselves.
You just have to let that anxiety go and just know that you are held by the creator of the universe, and he sees and he knows, and you can trust him. So that is a very good reminder. We all need to hear it.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad it came. It seems to come up in conversation with you, Kelly. So I love that.
One of the things that really struck me about you when I first met you, you were brought into cases of divorce, and what you saw happening to women going through these processes. Can you talk a little bit more just about your heart behind that?
Well, my only source for clients in that specific time period was attorneys. So attorneys were dealing with a female client who did not understand enough about the assets that they owned to make a good decision about the divorce settlement. These clients were usually, this is what I would hear from the attorney, I can't get her to make a decision. And my comment is, people who don't have enough information cannot make decisions. You cannot. I mean, and you won't. Either that or you just say, oh, you decide and I give up. Often these women were divorcing not out of their free will. It was pushed on them, yet they had abdicated any knowledge of the finances or any responsibility for their finances while they were in the marriage. And so now they had not enough information. They might be rich. They might not have enough money to actually make life work. But in both of those cases, I found women who didn't know. They didn't know which category they were in. So I found those situations very alarming and disturbing. Abdicating responsibility, abdicating partnership is not a good thing. And if you are in a situation or have been in a situation where you were kind of held hostage and not allowed to know things or not allowed to participate in decisions, that is just as bad. Maybe it's worse. You have to address that.
So what advice would you give for a woman who is going through that difficult, even traumatic experience of divorce right now? What financial advice would you give her?
Find someone who will help you understand clearly what you own and what you owe. You need to know the characteristics of the assets that you have. If it's real estate, you need to know the expenses that go along with that as well as the income. If you own complex stock investments or derivatives, you need to have a grasp of what you own. And if you don't know, then there are professionals that can help you with that. Do not remain in the dark about it. I'll give you an example. We want safety. And so what is the first thing the woman wants in the divorce? It's the home. Okay. Well, usually with the home comes a requirement for a mortgage payment, right? It also comes with the requirement that you fix things that are broken. If a roof,
Right.
if somebody runs into your garage, you have to have the income or the assets to fix it. So you put that into the grid. If you want that home, does that cut you out of so much of the other assets that could have been put in your asset column? Some women walk away from a divorce with the home. Nothing else. They got the home. Well, that comes with an expense to it and also a liability. So they have nothing really to support them. They have the home. And many times, it's the man that walks away with the retirement incomes, the brokerage accounts, the savings accounts, and she has the house. And it does nothing but drag her down.
Yeah, we never want to advocate for divorce. That is a traumatic and horrible thing that we, do not want anyone to have to go through. And yet the very real realities of what happens, I'm sure a lot of women need to hear that right now and can hopefully make wiser decisions in that process. And I love that you said that it needs to be a partnership, because even for those who are married and happily married and maybe just don't feel as certain about everything that's there, what a great opportunity to build more of a partnership between the husband and a wife of let's do this together. So that gets to the heart of why you started writing your book.
Yes. I've found it so disturbing that women did not work with the concept of cash flow. That is, here's my income, here are my expenses. The difference in those two is my cash flow. Is it positive or negative? If you are clear on that, then the next step is to say, okay, now this is for your net worth. You're saying, okay, what what are my assets, subtract my liabilities, all of my debts. That's not the payment for the debt. That's the balance on the debt. Take your assets minus the liabilities. That is your net worth. And your cash flow will either increase your net worth because you're either using that cash flow to pay down your debt or to add to your assets. Or if it's a negative cash flow, you're doing the opposite. You're either spending your assets or adding to your debts. Buying a car is not simply going onto the parking lot and saying, oh, I can afford that payment. That's not it. You need to look at, okay, this is going to add to my liabilities, or I'm going to spend some assets to buy this car. So I don't have a debt. And if I do accept the debt, then it means that I have more expenses and therefore less cash flow. You just have to see that process before you're going to make a good financial decision. And that's what I just want to shout that to the world.
So you want us to think more holistically about the decisions that we're making about finances?
Yes. I want you to look clearly at what position you're already in with cash flow and net worth and see how your choice would affect those positions.
Makes complete sense. Yeah. And you mentioned your book. It's been a #1 Amazon bestseller, right? Hidden Figures, 7 numbers women must know for financial success. So how do you define financial success?
Financial success is making your goals. It's not about making more. Beating the stock market, I find that's all, it's frivolous. It goes nowhere, really. Let's take it down to your own heart, your own values, your own purpose in life. And your success is using the assets, the properties that God has gifted you. He's given you stewardship over these things. So success is using those well to be all that you're put here on earth to be. You have a mission. I love your name. Mission.
Yes, to live the single life as best we can while we are single for however long that is. All right, we're going to do some rapid fire fun. You're going to pick between these two things, cash or credit?
Cash.
Spreadsheets or apps?
Apps.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, yes, good. Okay, save or invest?
Save first.
Then invest. Huh?
Then invest, yes.
Stocks or real estate?
That's a personality thing, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Good.
one's not better than the other.
Okay. So for budget tracking, daily, weekly, or monthly?
It depends on how good you are at it, how long you've been doing it. So I would say if this is a new task and you've gotten yourself in messes before, daily or weekly. If you're proficient at this, you've been doing it a long time, you can do it monthly and it works out fine.
Okay. If you said app before, so what is the best money app on your phone right now?
Oh, I have used FaithFi.
FaithFi.
F-I. Yes, like finance.
Okay.
Their app is wonderful. I love it. But also, you need a budget. YNAB. That is a very good one. Yes. All of them use the same concept that says, I'm telling my money where it's going to go. Oh, and Dave Ramsey's app is very good. I like all of those, and I think they allow you to see that I'm going to save first, I'm going to give first, and then I'm going to figure out how much money goes in each of my pockets and just spend what's in the pocket.
That's great.
Yep.
Okay, if you could magically instill one financial habit into every woman's life, what would it be?
Money meetings. I think these are so important. Whether they're weekly, monthly, or quarterly, having a money meeting with yourself or with whoever you're connected to so that you see, okay, here is my cash flow. Here is my net worth. Here are the decisions that are up in front of me. Here are the goals I want to attain, and here are the steps I'm going to take. Just that clarity just helps you focus for a little bit and say, okay, here's the things I'm going to do. And then you go do them. And then the next time you have that money meeting, you check them off. It feels very empowering. You see that your net worth is growing, or if it's not, you know why, and you know that some things need to be adjusted. So I just think that clarity comes from those meetings, and whether it's by yourself or with somebody, it just is essential. That's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Put it on the calendar.
Put it on the calendar, wipe away the fog, have some clarity, go forward.
Is there anything that I did not ask you that you wish I had asked you?
I would just go back to what we've already said of depend on the Lord. Absolutely have trust and faith that He has your back. He absolutely will protect and defend, and He wants you to utilize all of the beautiful gifts that you have. And sometimes that is an uncertain place to be, but let me give my best encouragement to you that God is faithful.
Thank you so much, Linda, for giving your time. How can our listeners connect with you or get access to your resources?
It'd be such a delight. Actually, the easiest way is to type in my name, Linda Stubblefield, in the search bar in Amazon, and my books will come up. I've just recently written a new one on teaching children how to follow the Lord.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that one.
Oh, it's called Tell Them Why. It just really is. It's a very short little book, but it's really helping mothers or parents expand on the ways that they tell their children about God and His trustworthiness, His love. It is to actually share more of your walk with Christ and be more vulnerable. Tell the stories of your background. And many times I think parents kind of hide themselves. I think I did as a parent. Looking back, I think I didn't tell enough about myself. So I'm trying to do that now. So that's why I wrote the book.
What a benefit to children, and what a great resource for us to know about. Thank you so much for your time and just the valuable wisdom that you have not only gleaned, but been willing to share with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Such a privilege. Bless you.